I'm giving you editorial control.
Yes, we start on time as far as I know.
Yeah, it was like.
I'm surprised you went to get here until yeah. They didn't camp out there. Right. A lot of college students there. Okay.
Yeah, but I think we also lose
But it's plus like a couple hours. Yeah, we got there at like 9. And then they stayed till next like 4 or 5 a.m. and then they come back at 6:30. I don't know how you did that. That's how very interesting. You know.
Right? Are you videotaping?
I'm a videotape guy.
Yeah, great.
I mean, when it comes
Nice to meet you. I've worked around for a long time. Thanks so much for coming down and helping us.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Really appreciate it.
I had to get my test. 15.
You were smart.
Well, I still.
Since you went around last night? Really? You got it in there. That's awesome.
Wait, you get that?
You had some steps to make up, right?
I did. 6 or something. I just have to cover on like there is no way. Even when I was sick.
So that's like totally amazing.
Oh, I'm really sure. No, I thought I just like, oh, you're going to take this bag. It's like, watch this now. And green, picturing, totally agree.
How did you got
Because now they're starting to give them out to people or to use the Wi-Fi connection. And so I, so they're jumping on there.
So I understand that that's weird. Are you going to do the Walking Dead?
There's the 500 I missed the new so I missed the but they're set up. Yesterday I got my
Boom. Wow, you did something.
and I thought it was weird. I wanted to
Oh, the Tina? Actually, I never. Okay, so like I got like part of all the people try to get somebody to speak, and like you cannot get somebody to speak. It's really interesting.
and you've only been here for
Yeah. And he's like,
he knew his stuff.
yeah, totally.
Well, and now the way this is actually, I mean, that's
Hey, how are you? Good.
see everywhere.
I know, I'm fine. Did you, I didn't meet you last year on the little bit of mentor days in Memphis. I didn't meet you, sorry. Were you out of town?
I am so I think I was there for part of it. I was there for the first time. I remember I got one of your pens because they wrote me blue. I like your blue or green pens. And I remember.
Yeah, they just free their phone, like a couple.
So I remember that, but it was probably real big.
Because I was thinking,
Yeah.
and then I couldn't go to Orlando.
Yeah, I can't either. It's why do you pick June? That's what all my regional art shows are. So I can't go. But I'm gonna go to the next one. I think.
Well, I told Meg to let me know. Oh, that's
Yeah.
I thought it was.
I would be careful with that. I think I could sense she was a little like, why is she pushing the product? What can you do to help us? And then we'll help spread the message. So she was pretty sensitive to that. Like, we don't need a sales team.
Yeah.
What we can do with it. Or how to
Yeah. No,
leverage it beyond.
I'm glad that you did.
Yeah, well, it was good for me because I used to really mad to have my login and I did the keys just so that
Yeah.
I
just want to make sure I just want to make sure I'm doing it. Sometimes I have many clients that don't have time. It's not their job. So I said, let me do it. It's my job.
Yeah.
So I don't want to overstep.
Because I know
Yeah, your rep course.
Yeah.
Be careful. Oh, there's
Yeah,
it's not that tall, like
I don't remember.
Do you remember who you were talking about?
No, she wasn't tall. She's probably moved on. She's walking.
She was like,
Hi everyone, we're just going to get started here.
like put together from head to toe.
Guys, thank you. We're just going to get started. It's my pleasure to introduce Rajat and Barbara. Take it away.
Thank you. Hi everybody, welcome today. We're going to be talking a little bit about what we're calling as the solo mom. Myself and my partner in crime here, Barbara. There you go. So about 4 months back, I went to our laundry room in my house, and the blue bottle of detergent that we've been using for the past 15 years wasn't there, and it was a green one. And I dismissed it. I thought, well, maybe the blue bottle of detergent probably it wasn't there in the store, and the green one is pinch hitting for a couple of months. So a few months go by, and the green bottle is about to get over, and then a new green bottle, another one shows up. So at that point, I go to my wife and I say, what's going on? I mean, what happened to the blue bottle? I really like the blue bottle. It worked for me. And what she said was pretty interesting. She said that she was going through her online community, the stuff that she regularly visits, and the green bottle, information on the green bottle came up. It talked about how it was better for the kids, it was better for the environment, and more importantly, how it was as good as the blue one. And then just like that, over 15 years of ingrained behavior of a product that worked in our house changed with the tap of a few keys, right? And now we're a green bottle household. So I started digging into this a little bit more, trying to see what the impact social, mobile, online had, and it was profound. I mean, the way that she showed me the research that she went through to actually find all of this. She didn't actually go out looking online to change detergents, but she actually ran into this and then how it helped shape her behavior. So I've been in the social mobile space for a very long time through my companies that I've created, and I've seen the impact that the social mobile online make for impulse purchases. But when something like that has been ingrained in our household for 15 years, the same product, and it's working, and the impact that it made to change that behavior, that was profound, and it was fascinating. So so what we're going to explore today is just how pervasive this shift towards the shift that social, mobile, and local and online are making on the moms, how their behavior is changing. We're going to hear from one of the leading brands, Quaker, PepsiCo, on how they are at the forefront of this in interacting and reaching this very complex consumer, very complex user. We all know that moms are not average consumers, right? Their time, their busy time, dictates how they interact, communicate, and shop for things. And so it's very important for us as marketeers, as vendors, to understand how we can reshape our tactics and strategies to communicate with these the new social, local, global mom. So that said, a little introducing myself and Barbara. So Barbara is, she joins us from Quaker, PepsiCo. She's the head of digital and social for Quaker. She's truly a social, mobile, local expert from her days at Digitas, General Mills, and as well as being global. So much so that both her and her 16-month-old daughter have very active Twitter accounts. So a little bit about myself. In the past, I've helped found a company called Rhythm Media, which is one of the premium mobile video ad networks out there. Also built BuySite, which was recently acquired by AOL, focused around behavioral advertising. And then I lead products at BrandWebNet, where we're trying to figure out how to take offline, online, and merge the two. So before we get into the mom side of things, right? As you know, social, local, mobile is changing the way people interact with products and brands. Just to put things into perspective, we are going to be generating total of 4 zettabytes or zettabytes of data in 2013. So what does 4 zettabytes mean? So if you think 1 gigabyte is your tall cup of latte from Starbucks, right? 4 zettabytes is all the volume in the entire Great Wall of China multiplied by 4 times. So that's 4 zettabytes. That's how much we're going to be generating this year. And it's a 2,000% increase compared to 2005. So a lot of stuff happening online. So let's look at yesterday's mom. And yesterday's mom in digital world is a few years back, right? So she wasn't as digitally connected, right? She was spending less than an hour 10 years back, over 3 hours now and that's last year, over 3 hours online last year. And this will keep going up as we see more and more connectivity come through at the household level. In fact, when moms were polled 10 years back, only 17% of them said that the internet was important for them. This, when they were polled recently, it was over 70% said that internet was an essential utility for them. So, not as connected a few years back. The family was a lot more connected, the rest of the household. In fact, so much more connected that each individual member in the household was online almost 2x more than the mom was. As you see, the dad had a lot more interactivity on Facebook, a lot more connectivity with the kids online as well. So what that led to was that the consumption, the mom had less access to information, real-time information. Her access to information was all through traditional means, right? Talking to other people, mommy clubs, reading information in a book, magazines, things like that. So that just means that there's less information flowing through her, which means that most of the consumption influence came from the household rather than from the mom. And thus, as brands, our focus was on the consumer, and then we treated the mom primarily as a shopper, right? So that's the old yesterday's mom. Today's mom, Solomo has changed everything. If you look at today's mom, the moms that have smartphones have spent almost 6 hours on their smartphones a day, either talking on the phone, browsing the web, taking pictures, all sorts of things, right? 1 out of every 3 minutes that they spend online is basically to Facebook, right, on social media. And if you think about what a mom is now starting to use her smartphone for, it's primarily as what they call as the life remote, right? It is, they are ready to give up TV, but they're not ready to give up the connectivity to the internet via their phone. Mommy clubs have given way to online communities, right? Everything is via either email groups, online communities, social networks. Over 80% of the working moms basically get most of the information now through online communities, and around 40% of the moms in the U.S. actually are working. So the number of moms that are working has gone up as well. And most moms, when told, they say that the internet is their top 2 primary source for getting all their information at this point, and primarily through social communities. Which means she's got a lot more access, she's got a lot more real-time information, right? Things, she may not be looking for stuff, but as she's in this community, in these communities, she's actually getting information come through her, and because of that, she's gone from being just a shopper to actually a major consumption influencer, right? She's going back and saying, no, this is not what, yes, I know you want it, but this is not what I heard. Which means we need to change our tactics and our strategies to this, right? We need to start, not only treat her just as we do as a shopper, but we need to think of her as a consumption influencer, much more than what we used to think about before. So a little bit more about the solo mom, how things are very different for her. 93% of the moms in the U.S. have access to the internet at some place somewhere. This is primarily being driven via the tablet, right? I mean, the tablet is changing everything. The tablet and mobile, that they have access to so much more. And because they do have access, what they are finding is that the internet, when they are polled about how many, what are the top 2 places where you get your information on products and services, how many of 82% of them say that the internet was the top place where they got their information, right? So clearly, it is something where they are moving towards. They are also using the internet to connect to brands, right? Most moms at this point that are online are connecting to brands, one brand or the other. In fact, what we're finding is that moms are at this point, in terms of number of accesses per day, they to Facebook and social media, they outnumber the rest of the household in the number of accesses by far. Which means all of this leads to, in the old days, it was all about product review sites, right? Which still remains big. I mean, it's hard to, it's going to take a while for product review sites on their own to not be the place where people get the information. But all the social stuff, which is on the left-hand side, that is increasing by leaps and bounds in terms of how they are getting information. So, taking a full circle back to my story about the blue bottle versus the green bottle detergent, 42% of moms are actually buying stuff based on what they are seeing on social, local, mobile, right? So this is directly influencing what they're doing, what their shopping habits are. So clearly, this is where the solo mom is here to stay. The solo mom is, in fact, her influence is growing. So then the next question is, great, what does it mean for brands? So for that, I'll hand over to Barbara, who's going to go into what they're doing and what they're recommending.
Thank you. I think you should be able to hear me without the microphone. I'm not good at standing in one spot. First, I have to say thank you to Rajat for inviting me to come here today and kind of share some of the things we're doing. I need to preface and set the bar a little bit more accurately that I'm neither an expert nor are we at the forefront of anything. So what we're doing is we're learning and we're experimenting, and we know it's what we have to do. And I think what I want to do today is kind of share with you some of the things that we're trying to figure out how we can get this social, it's so hard to say, so the mom, whatever it is, it's really important. It's just hard to say. So anyway, I just really wanted to start with that, and I think, makes a great point. We've got to talk to mom as both consumer and as shopper. And at Quaker, we're somewhat fortunate in that moms also are consumer, but we have to have two very different messages depending on what mindset she's in. So we make very clear efforts to talk to her as consumer and me versus now she's in a purchase mindset, and how do we help facilitate those behaviors. So right time, right place, I think those are, some of these new buzzwords we're all hearing. Contextual, how do you do that? And I mean, it's hard. It sounds like an easy thing to do, but there's a million and one ways you can do it. And how do you just pick and choose a couple? So I'm gonna just talk about some of the things we're doing in social, mobile, and then local. And it was actually hard for me to pull examples of one versus the other because it's critical that they completely overlap. We know that moms are getting, I think it's like 80% of their Facebook time is spent on their cell phone. So we have to make sure that the content we're creating in social works on their cell phone device. And so there's an incredible amount of overlap involved. But for us, what we've done is kind of first looked at our owned channels. I hesitate to call Facebook an owned channel because I actually don't think we own it, but we have an incredible influence there. And how do we've recently kind of revamped our content strategy to make sure that it resonates with mom, that it's kind of those snackable bites that get her in those right moments, and how do we create the kind of content that she would want to click like or click share or maybe respond and engage in a conversation with us. So we have this pillar that we call emotional fuel. We have these parentisms in it, and they're incredibly popular. Little quotes like, your life has changed when going to the grocery store by yourself is a vacation. Or one of our most popular posts ever was, you're a mom when you have an audience in the bathroom. And this is certainly TMI, and don't tweet this, but I have a 16-month-old, and I have, balanced holding her and getting ready to do things in the morning and brushing my teeth. And I mean, it's an incredible challenge, and that was definitely too much information. But those are the things that people get and they want to comment on, and they'll say, oh my gosh, you're right, this is great. And then to the other point Rajat made earlier about the importance of ratings and reviews, this has certainly been around for a while. I think Amazon really pushed this to the forefront in terms of top of mind, but Quaker had never really embraced ratings and reviews before, and as we looked at the data more and we looked at behaviors of our consumers, we realized that's an incredibly influential and powerful tool that's also social in nature. And so we recently invested in a partnership with Bizarre Voice to implement this technology on our website. We're only doing it on a couple of our products now to see how it goes, but we're starting to put it in point of sale, and I'd love to see it on our packaging where it says, tell us more, get real-time ratings and reviews. So again, just another way to use the world of social married up with what mom's behaviors are and what she's looking for. Okay, so mobile, beyond the banner, I think we're still in a place, oh yeah, you can go ahead and hit play. We're just gonna play in the background for your enjoyment. We have an iAd, and it's like 2.5 minutes, so I'm just gonna talk while you guys watch it in slow motion. But I think we're in a place at Quaker where we're still, an enormous amount of our media buying digital is in traditional banners, and we're trying so hard to push away from that. There's certainly a role for those to play, but how do we look at mobile and what mom's doing and create kind of breakthrough experiences? And so this year, for the first time, we're actually working with iAds, and we've seen incredible response rates. I don't have a ton of results because these are literally in market now, but they're telling us that, it's 2 times the engagement rate. And we're trying to create games that are both engaging for mom, the kind of behavior we know she's in. I don't think there was a stat earlier, but we know she's a gamer and she loves these kinds of, again, snackable opportunities. And how do we make sure that it's tied to our brand and the kinds of things and pieces of information we can intertwine with that. Another example of some of the things we're trying to do in mobile is use our partners. Pandora has been a fantastic partner from us, from both just in advertising, but also kind of providing that content. And so right now we're doing a series called Moms Who Rock with Michelle Branch, and then later this year it'll be with Jennifer Hudson. And it's, it's not breakthrough. We're not the first people who've ever done this, but it works. And those are the kinds of things that our moms are doing. And so we're helping them create playlists and engage with music and share songs with their friends. And, I try really hard to push both my agency partners and the publishing partners when they bring us some of these great programs. A lot of times I'll be like, this is great, but I can't share it. Or this is great, but no one can comment on it. And so I think it's our responsibility as brands to continue to push people to bring those things to you. I say all the time, like, this is great, but we know they're social. We know they're social on their phones. And I would be an irresponsible brand person if I didn't want to get that earned media that you can get from that. I'm not gonna lie, it's not purely just because, yay, mom likes to click like. Like, it helps me as a brand, but it's also a completely natural behavior. I don't think at this point you're asking anybody to do anything that they wouldn't already do. So just kind of 2 of the ways we're looking at mobile. And then as we go into local, I think local and mobile, what's so interesting, and there's so much work to be done, and I mean, we as an organization are barely scratching the surface, but I mean, mobile really is that device that knows mom the best. And right now, there's still not a ton of information, and measurement isn't as great in mobile as we would like it to be, but I mean, if you think about it, it's the device, that is on you 24/7. I push the grocery cart with my phone in it, and I'm like, I can't get reception in Mariano's, and I freak out for a minute or 2. But it's the device that knows exactly who you are and exactly where you are at any point in time. It's a balance. You don't want to come across as completely creepy, but 2 of the ways we're trying to use local, one is the example on the left is less about true local and more about the power of kind of understanding your consumer and using the kind of local information you can provide. So we've done some dynamic creative with weather.com. So depending on where you are, you'll get a piece of advertising that's like, ooh, it's 62 in a tornado, which I thought wasn't the best example these days. But how do we use that kind of information to get people's attention? And then on the other side is, how do we really talk to her as shopper? How do we get her in those mindsets? And so we're doing, for the first time, a partnership with AT&T where we're kind of we're geo-fencing our moms, and so if we know they're in a certain geographic distance from one of our key partners, we can send them a text message that says, hey, try our new perfect portions at the Kroger near you, and how do we give them offers and content, and again, really try to capture them in that mindset. We've also created on some of these ads, find locations, see the reviews. So it's bringing in all of these behaviors into one place. We've seen people engaging with the store locators for up to 40 seconds at a time, which is pretty incredible to be on a map. And this just starts to become something that not only adds value to our consumers, but to us as brand owners, but also to our retail partners, because it allows us to continue to further our relationship with them and drive people in store. So, again, like I said, we are neither experts nor at the forefront, but we recognize if we don't start doing some of these things, we're gonna be behind. I don't think we're behind yet. I think there's people who are further ahead of us, but I feel like we're gonna get those learnings. And I don't know how many of you are on the brand side or trying to sell things to brands, but you get the, how do I measure that? And you're like, great question. And I loved it when, I think it was Jennifer earlier today, she said, God bless our leadership for letting us just try things. And that's something we struggle with all the time. And so we've tried to push through this new investment model, this 70-20-10, where we say 10% of what we do, I have no idea how to measure it. I don't expect a measurement, I can't measure it, but these are the things we need to be doing. And it's taken me a while to get us there. We're not there fully, but I feel like if I say it and you tweet it, they'll have to do it. That's my strategy. But it's a really exciting time, and I think you have to look at mom as both shopper and as consumer. So I tried to go fast because I wanted to be able, if there were any questions, I think there's one more slide where you wanted to. Yeah.
So
Let 'em have it.
essentially, this is just brand.net, right? What we're trying to do at brand.net is connect the entire funnel all the way from working with the consumer, influencing the consumer, all the way down to actually influencing the shopper as well. So that's brand.net. So
That's all we got. I think these are meant to be conversations. I'm happy to take questions. I'm sure Rajat is, or if anyone has thoughts or comments or examples of things you're doing in this space. Yeah.
Anastasia Kochko with Corsi, Hispanic agency in Los Angeles. Have you had any vision exploring how to reach the Hispanic market, and how is it different from the general market strategy?
Yeah, so we actually are putting our biggest push forward now as far as the Hispanic mom goes. We have, we're going for kind of this all total market approach. So instead of creating things separately, when we create our television commercials, they want to be able to create Hispanic at the same time. So Quaker hasn't done much of that in the past, and we actually have a pretty big initiative launching any day now. So we're focusing more on mom as mom right now, because for us with the Hispanic mom, it's about building that relationship, because we haven't been there. So if we start talking to her immediately as, go buy this, here's where you are, here's a text message to your local grocer or something, I think it would come across as incredibly inauthentic. So for us, it's more about mom as mom and providing her content, but it's also incredibly important, especially with the Hispanic consumer, who we know are incredibly mobile forward, that we're heavy on mobile, same thing with social. So we don't have a ton of learnings yet, but we agree that is, that's the consumer of the present and the future. So hopefully 6 months from now, I can talk about great results with Hispanics. So we are trying to do some things with them. Yeah.
So you spoke about how at the end, with talking to other members of the company, and that you don't necessarily, the results is still an evolving thing, and how you measure and look at it. So how does that conversation go internally? And you're talking to, that's definitely a challenge. I'm with a digital agency out of Atlanta called Burt, and that's something that we're working on our clients on, trying to take digital and it can be over-measured sometimes, or you're looking too strongly at certain numbers and then not some of the engagement and everything, so just curious about that. In green.
Nobody tweet any of this. This is just amongst us. It's really hard. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like especially at a larger brand like Quaker, which you're very TV focused, you're very print focused, and we've been measuring TV for 50 years, and we've been measuring print for 50 years, and people see one banner ad not perform well, and like, oh no, we can't do digital. I'm like, that's probably not the smartest thing for us to do. You know, if a TV commercial didn't perform well, you would spend millions of dollars retooling it and redoing it. So I think a lot of it's education, a lot of it's patience. We've actually tried to talk to measurement in more traditional terms. So we do a lot of work with Millward Brown Dynamic Logic in very similar ways that we measure our TV. I don't know if that's the best way for us to measure digital, but at least it starts to speak in a language that they're more familiar in. A lot of examples, a lot of case studies, like, oh, well, Google did a study where it shows it did provide brand lift. It's a struggle because people continue to say, like, what's the ROI? What's the ROI? So how do we show them? Well, engagement matters. I talk a lot about quantity versus quality, and I say, look, get your TV from your reach and your all of that from TV. I would never say TV should go away, but digital can reach. You know, we're talking about brand.net. They have some great things where you can say, we want to target that person who we know eats granola bars and bought 3 boxes last week in this place at this point in time. So I might only reach 20 of those, but 75% of them are going to go buy my granola bars versus my TV spot is going to go to 20 million people, but only 7 of them are going to go buy the granola bars. So it's chipping away, it's education, it's kind of asking for forgiveness in some instances and hoping that you have the results to support it.
You mentioned location. Obviously, there are not Quaker stores. Right? So, so I guess it's a two-part question. Part of it's, you mentioned geofences, but part of it's grocery partners and you know, retailers who have locations. Can you talk a little bit about, I guess, either one of those scenarios and how you're trying to make that work?
Yeah, it is hard. I mean, we're not Starbucks, we're not Best Buy, we're not Macy's. We can't say, go into our store and buy our products. So it's finding partners like Shopkick, who we can use their technology to get people at some time into any store. I don't care if it's a Kroger or a Target or wherever. I just want you to go into my store and buy my product.
So are you having a conversation with Kroger about how to get that done?
Well, we do it both ways. So we can have conversations on our own with the Shopkicks of the world and all. I mean, there's 1,000,001 technology, different partners, where we just say, my job as the digital engagement person is to get people into stores and engage with technology. And then our shopper teams actually are very engaged in the conversation, specifically with Kroger, specifically with Target, et cetera, in terms of how do we attack the problems that they're having with what we're trying to solve. So whether it's driving people to their websites for more information or helping to provide point of sale that has these real-time reviews. You know, those guys are even further behind than we are. So how can we kind of lead that conversation? So, and you have to be careful that you don't do all your work with one person and not another. So it's coming at it from both sides. I don't know what time it is, but I think we can take one more question. I'm now in charge.
One more.
I was just wondering what type of results you've seen from implementing the Bazaar Voice reviews and how you're measuring that success.
It's still new, so I don't have fantastic answers to your questions. I think for us, it's a couple of things. We know what works on our website and what doesn't. We use Source C to kind of measure satisfaction. So we can see if our satisfaction scores overall are going up. We can see things like time spent with the ratings and reviews. I think for us, it's also just the quality of reviews and the content. So it's great to go back to the People Perfect portions as one of our new oatmeal products to be like, hey, these many people wrote reviews, this is great, or we've actually found people don't know how to use that product. And we would have known that if we hadn't had the ratings and reviews there, so then we're able to create content, a video that says, no, you actually have to add sweetener to it, things like that. So it's still incredibly in its infancy for us, but we have seen, we're considering fantastic results in terms of people reading, people finding them helpful. Even Bazaar Voice said compared to what they've seen with other CPGs that we're doing really well. Oatmeal, you wouldn't think. You know, I came here from the spirits world. I was like, oatmeal, let's not talk about oatmeal. But people are incredibly passionate about it. I mean, every time I think something, can you put 2 more packs of peaches and cream in the box? And oh, okay. So people, it's human nature, and they actually are incredibly passionate about our products, and it's a brand that means a lot to them. So I think we're seeing that. So hopefully we'll continue to just get that traction and keeping people on our website and using it to get them into our CRM program from there. So.
Thank you, everybody.
You know, there's